show is sponsored by HiveMind CRM. It is more than just a CRM. It is a real estate and business mastermind that comes with an all-in-one CRM. You can have unlimited websites and users. You can call, text, RVM, and email all in one user interface. And you can set up custom automations for any type and multiple businesses. 65% of companies start using a CRM system within the first 5 years of business. Once implemented, the HiveMind will save you on marketing, give you more time, and make more money. One of our users had his first $100,000 month using our system in June. We want to see you automate and accelerate your business. Text us at 210-972-1842 for future meetings, and of course to get our $1 course on how to make more than 6 figures on one land deal. You can schedule your free demo today at hivemindcrm.io.
Hey, today we have a special guest. I'm your ghost, Daniel Martinez, and I'm kind of tongue-tied right now, but it's all good. It happens. We go on the flow and make it happen. But I have a special guest today, Ricardo Rosales. One of the beauty things about business is you always have to adapt when things happen. And there was something that happened, and Ricardo was like, "I'm here, I'm ready," and you just got to show up. So we're here. So it's one of those things where you gotta really adapt on the fly and make stuff happen when you're in business and entrepreneurship. So we're gonna talk about stuff like that. But here's our special guest, Ricardo Rosales, out of Houston, Texas. How are you doing today?
I'm doing excellent, man. Thank you for the invitation, Daniel.
Man, you just released our episode we just did a month ago or so from Florida. It's really kind of cool to see that video come out because I like doing in-person stuff, but I always don't have the opportunity to do it. So it's a double-edged sword.
Yeah, it's you do it on the fly, right? Like in that particular occasion, I had my equipment there and the audio recorded and all that, and it's just happy that you and I were just talking, and I told you, it's like, hey, why don't we just put this on video and put it on YouTube, right? And that's exactly what we did. That was a pretty good interview. Actually, on that video on YouTube, somebody posted that you saved them from getting a CDL.
I saw that, and I commented on it.
Yeah, he said, hey, man, this dude just saved me from going and get a CDL. So you know what? That's excellent because now we know that we at least already impacted one person in a positive way, and this is what this is all about.
That's what it's all about, man. That's why I like one of my big mantras ever since I got into the space was I support people that support people. And it's really like a personal mantra of mine because like whatever you do doesn't affect me, whatever I do doesn't affect you. But as long as we're making the world a better place, it doesn't really matter to what extent. We just help each other out. And it's such a blessing to find other people like me and like you that are really trying to change the world and how people look at the world in general.
Yeah, I just wanna impact as many as I can, one way or another, right? It doesn't have to be that I benefit from it or whatnot. I just want to see other people succeed, man. And in this real estate world that we're in, it can be very lonely if you don't surround yourself with the right people, if you don't become part of like a community like the one you have, and it's for a lot of people out there that are not plugged in and are getting started in real estate, they bump into us either through IG or YouTube or Facebook. And I wish when I started investing in real estate back in 2008, I would have bumped into a group like the one you have built, for instance, the HiveMind, right? It didn't exist back then. And I looked for it. I was actively looking for something like that. And I could never find it. So I kind of like started on my own and did my, I started literally trying to find a group that I could fit in and people that I could learn from because I didn't have a mentor. I didn't know what the right mentor was. So, doing this podcast together and putting it out there for people that are actually looking to learn and grow, it's amazing today that we can help so many people like that.
Yeah. The power of impact has limitless potential when you do stuff like YouTube and podcasts and stuff like that. It's just you have no idea the amount of people it's actually reaching at any given point. Because and this is something that I've recently known is like my podcast has reached like 20 countries now, and I'm like, wow, 20 countries, like what in the world? Like yeah. Now you're making like global impact as far as providing education. I'm sure you've reached more countries than I have. So it's the reach and the endless possibilities that can happen through creating.
I remember, man, when I first started podcasting. This is back in 2017 or 16. I don't remember exactly the date. And I got on the podcast platform And I saw that I had people listening to us in China. And I was like, what? China? And then I had people that were in Africa. I say, Africa, real estate investing, why would they be interested in what we're doing, right? I haven't looked at the stats today, but one thing I can tell you, Daniel, is I have listeners that are very, very loyal. These guys are in Spain, South America, Central America. We have a lot across the U.S. as well, right? But we are reaching a broader audience today across the world. And the beautiful thing is real estate investing in the U.S. can be done from literally from anywhere. Thanks to tools like this, where we can connect on a camera and have a virtual interview conversation or whatnot, because you can operate businesses that way now. Like, I'll give you an example. My whole team is overseas. I used to be the guy that had an office with everybody on the floor, like running a sales floor type of Wolf of Wall Street, sort of thing. I wanted to have my people close to me. I wanted to do morning huddles and do stuff with them. But eventually we transitioned into going virtual, and now we have over 80 people in our staff overseas in Venezuela, actually. And the business operates just as actually better than it used to be before. So yeah, it's crazy that, technology is allowing us to work across different, not only countries, but continents. And we're operating a much leaner business because of that today.
I'm really glad you mentioned that. So the CEO of Airbnb, he made a post about how people, you don't have to live in Silicon Valley. You don't have to live near San Francisco to have a high-paying job anymore. There's good talent everywhere, and location should not limit them by the job they should hold. So I'm really glad you mentioned that, because there's good people out there everywhere. You just have to find them. And now with the technology, we can hire them, train them, keep them accountable, and provide them to actually do their work from home. And for me, I love it. I've been working home for 4 years, and I'm like, I don't ever want to commute to work anymore. Like, I was commuting to the office.
Yeah, for me, I come to the office. I do operate out of an office because, man, it's kind of hard to work from home with my kids and my wife, and they come into the room asking questions. Do you want to eat lunch right now? What do you want to eat for dinner? Or the kids come in, daddy, let's play something, right? So I have to go away because I have a couple of small children, and when I'm around, they want to have my attention. So if I'm around all day, guess what? They're trying to get attention all day. So that's why I have an office, and I actually operate better out of an office because I get to focus and zone in what I'm doing. But I think I'm gonna move out of Texas actually next year, and I'm gonna try to work from home again. I'm getting a bigger home, that way I can get a space for, like, dedicated for the office and for my studio. It's for my studio for the most part, because I got a lot of cameras and my podcast, and whenever you come back to Houston, just hit me up so we can record some content. But it's for all the equipment that I bought throughout the years, that I got to house that somewhere where I can do my content creation. And that's where I'm going to work from home, hopefully next year, sometime in the summertime. For now, we'll just keep the office in Houston and until our lease is up in March, and then we're out of here.
Are you moving out of Houston, or you just kind of moving?
I am moving out of Houston. I'm actually going to Miami, Florida. So, yeah, big move.
Big move. Congratulations.
I've been in Texas for 21 years now.
That's amazing.
And I've done great things here. I'm very grateful to the state of Texas and the city of Houston. But it's time for me to move on. I want to go back home. For me, home is Miami. My family's there. My parents, my mother, my 2 brothers that I have. And then, I've been away from them for many years. And I want to enjoy my family more now. I value things different today than I did many years ago, or not too long ago, I would say. For me, it was money, hustle. Let's make it happen. I gotta, I don't know, I'm in a quest to get rich or whatever. Now it's like, okay, we've done that. We've made millions. We lost millions. We're coming back out of it. But now it's like, I don't need to go, pursue, a $10 million checking account. I want to pursue a Sunday with my father. I want to pursue a Saturday with my mother. I want to pursue seeing my 24-year-old daughter, for dinner every week. And that's what I'm looking for. So not that I'm not hustling, I'm still working and I'm still growing our business and all that, but going virtual and now being nationwide, is allowing us to do that, because I could move to Mexico if I wanted to. It would not change a bit. The only thing that would change is possibly the in-person interviews that we do on our podcast. That is harder for some people to go to Mexico. Maybe they don't even want to go to Mexico because it's not as safe as it is in the US. But we can live in a world that we can go to work from anywhere today. So I'm seeking closure to my family and a lot of my friends that I have in South Florida. I want to go back there and live a better life.
I commend you, because a lot of people, as I can tell, you've gotten wiser and older, and you realize what's really important. And a lot of people, they think money is important, but money comes and goes, man. Like I said, you've made millions and lost millions. Like, I've lost money too, and I've made millions. So it's one of those things where, like, what's really important is the family side of it. So I really commend you to that. Like I said, it kind of hurts me a little bit too, because my father just passed away.
Oh, I'm so sorry about that.
December. So hearing you going back to your father and your parents is quite cool, man.
And you see, where was your father at?
Chicago.
Right. So you guys were far away from each other, right?
Yeah.
And my father is also far away from me, and my mother is far away from me, and also from my children. Like, grandparents want to see their grandkids, right? So I recognize that, and I want to be closer to my family. I don't know how much longer I'm going to have them around, or they're going to have me around, because it could go either way. And that's all it is, man. It's a change. Plus, Florida is pretty cool, man. You got Orlando, you got Disney, you got Universal Studios. You have Tampa, Florida, which you got the best, Clearwater Beach, and that other one that I usually go to with the kids. I forget the name right now, but there's so many things to do in Florida. It's unreal, man. And it's a little hot. Hurricane season kind of throws a few curveballs to you, but nothing that I'm not used to already, because I lived there for 7 years already. So I just want to give my children better quality of life than the one we have in Houston. Not that the one in Houston is bad, but there's more things to do for kids out there. On a Saturday and a Sunday, I'm wondering here, what do I do with the kids?
I get it. I live in California.
Yep. And California is very similar, although your weather is better than Florida. I will say that.
Yeah, I like it out here. It's very interesting. So I commend you, man. Like, it's kind of exciting, man. I moved from Chicago to Atlanta. I lived in Atlanta for 6 years. Now I live in Southern California. And I'm like, I told my wife, like, one day we might live overseas. Who knows? And it's one of those things. It's one of those things where, like, why not? Like, if you can do it, why not? It's just one of those things. So making the future you want through real estate and creating the future you want is amazing. Let me ask you this: how do you manage so many employees overseas?
Delegation, man. The power of delegation, right? So, number one, it all starts with massive imperfect action. There's no such thing as massive perfect action. That doesn't exist in our world or in any world.
Yeah.
Once we learn how to deal with that, then we can live with people making mistakes, with us making mistakes, things of that nature. And then all you do is you manage those mistakes, right? How do you respond to the mistakes that we make, or that I make, or my people make? That's what really matters, right? Because we're human beings. We're going to make mistakes. Even if you do the best risk analysis there is out there to mitigate all the different risks, there is always an unknown that may come and bite you in the neck. And next thing you know, your plan fell apart, right? So massive imperfect action, number one. Number two, learning how to trust other people. I learned that there's a lot of other people out there that are on my team that are a lot smarter than I am. They are, more capable than I am. They're better prepared than I am. Most of them got degrees. I'm not even a degree guy. I dropped out of the college when I was 20 because I was just chasing other things. And they are the ones that run the team. I just empower them to do it. And when they make a mistake, or when things don't go the way we want to do it, we connect with each other. We talk about it. We put it as a lessons learned or as a best practice, whichever way it goes. Every week on Mondays, we have, like on Same as Cash, which is our wholesaling business, we have a weekly agenda. And I suggest, man, everybody in this call that's watching this podcast right now, even if you're a solopreneur, you're one person, you must have a meeting with yourself or with your team on Monday. So you can get or Tuesday, whichever day works better for you. But preferably on Monday, to get the week right on track. And every Monday we meet. The first thing we do is we do a morning huddle, which is we usually watch videos, certain videos. Sometimes it's a YouTube series. Sometimes it may be a Netflix documentary, or it might be I don't know, if let's say you came up with an acquisition strategy course, then I buy a lot of courses from a lot of my friends and I train my people with those courses. So right now we're actually going through Jerry Green's acquisitions courses as a team. And every Monday we dissect it and we put what we learn about it. We talk about it as a team. And that's about a good 30 to 45 minutes conversation. And once we get that done, then we go into the lessons learned from last week. What did we learn last week that we did wrong or we could have done better? And we put all those in writing. We talk about it. We navigate the different avenues that we could have went through. After that, we go on the best practices. Okay, we did all these things wrong, but now what did we do right? Because it's not about just punishing ourselves on our mistakes. It's like, okay, we did these things wrong, but we also did these things right. What were those things? As a team, we collaborate, we talk about it. And then after that, we just start diving into KPIs, like how many deals did we get? How many calls did we make? How many text messages did go out? We got it all dialed down to a science. And because of that, we're able to predict when we're going to have bad months and bad weeks, or a great month or a great week. And we're able to tweak and peak how we continue to move forward in order for us to be successful. So that's how I manage my team pretty much. Now, my wholesaling team, I do have a COO. His name is Caesar. You probably met. No, I don't know if. Yeah, you met him. He was in Jacksonville. You probably saw him walking around. So okay. Caesar pretty much runs the team now. I'm only on the team as a coach and as a mentor and a guide. But I'm not necessarily talking to sellers or buyers or nothing. My all of our properties that we're doing, my guys from Venezuela are buying them and selling them 100%. They negotiate, they make the offers, they assign the deals, they assign the contracts. We have our own title coordinating transactional coordinators. We have 2 of those. We're actually training 2 more because our volume is increasing right now. And I empower them to go do and learn and reach out to other people. And, it's empowerment. It comes down to empowerment, Daniel. It's like you have to empower them to be able to be self-sufficient, and that in a way that if they make a mistake, they're not penalized for it.
Yeah.
Right. So hey, if they make a mistake, hey man, don't do it again. Let's move on to the next one. And a lot of business owners like us, they have a problem on letting go. And that's why they don't grow like they wanted to grow. Like everybody wants to go make $1 million a month, but not a lot of people are willing to let go to empower others so that $1 million comes from the efforts of some other people. So that's how we've been able to manage that growth.
Do you practice EOS, the Entrepreneur Operating System?
Yes, I operate on the VTO, Vision Traction Organizer. Before this call, I was on a call with somebody that is one of my students. I don't even know if he's my student, but I'm coaching him on that. He's got 25 of our VAs right now, in between texting, cold calling, and acquisitions. And last month, he generated $600,000 worth of assignments on volume. But it's because we operate on the traction method, right? The Vision Traction Organizer. So I've been living and dying by that thing for the last 6 years or 7 years.
Oh, that's amazing. It's really cool that you operate a lot of your business even outside Venezuela. Like a lot of people want to get to $1 million, like you said, $1 million even revenue, but it's not off the work of your own merits.
And that's not my revenue today, by the way. We got great months, and then we got some months that we fall flat on our faces, and for many different reasons. But I think on the VA side and on our platform as well, we'll get to those numbers no later than the end of this year, because kind of they go as a package. On the wholesaling side, we are producing anywhere from right now about $500,000 a month on assignments, but they take 30 to 90 days to close. So, and sometimes longer than that. So the volume is being produced. So I think this year we'll probably end somewhere around $3 or $4 million worth of revenue, but we just started kind of like cranking it up. So we started slow because I had to do a lot of changes, train those guys overseas. We had to let go of everybody that we had in the office. I only have Caesar here in the office now. We used to have like 12 people here, and now it's just me and Caesar in a 2,700 square foot office. Go figure. So we're literally turning all the different spaces into things that we can. We have a gym in the middle of where what it used to be the conference room. Not the conference room, but the bullpen. That's now we put a gym in there so we can get fit. Because I got a few pounds to go, a few meaning 30 or 40 pounds I want to get rid of. So yeah, we're utilizing the space the best we can. And but yeah, we had to transition, and when you transition, you suffer from revenue, you suffer from creating new contracts, and we literally stopped for about 3 months lead generating. We did have a lot of deals on the board, so that kind of kept us moving for a while. And once we figured out a lot of those kinks, and we trained the people and the senior and the junior acquisitions and the senior and the junior dispositions, that's when I said, okay, we got to crank up the engine again and go. So, but that's thanks to the VTO, Daniel. I literally get on the Vision Traction Organizer every quarter. We look at the challenges, we look at the rocks, we look at where we are for the year. And I knew I was falling short, so I had to make changes. We actually fell short last year in our revenue by a lot. We didn't even get close to it. So if I didn't have that tool, I wouldn't know how to adjust. Maybe some people will, but it's easier to adjust by having that tool in place. And I had to make changes, and some of those changes were drastic. I had to let go of my COO. I had to let go of a bunch of talented guys that I had in the office. I had to let go of some of my top acquisitions guys. Some of them left on their own. They had a little chip on their shoulder. So things like that, but would you just adapt and keep on moving, and that's it. I mean, you can't worry about what you lost. You gotta focus more on what you're gonna get. And I'm playing long term. I'm not playing short term. So if I lose my revenue for 3 months because I'm readjusting, I'm okay with that. Yeah. Because I know month 4, 5, and 6 are gonna be lead generating months, and then 7, 8, and 9 are gonna be where we start receiving all the fruits. But then after that, it should continuously go consistently. So
being the boss is never easy, and a lot of people looking up to I want to be the boss. I'm like, you might not like that position.
Yeah, no, it's not. But I enjoy it. I actually enjoy my freedom now. Even though I work more than I ever did when I was employed on a W-2, I own my time. So if I want to get on a plane and go to San Diego and chit chat with you for a day, I can do that. If I want to go to Florida and see my family, I do that. If we got events, going all over the country, which by the way, I see you got an event coming up in August. It looks pretty amazing.
Yeah, we do an annual event every year, and we're doing Fort Lauderdale this year, and that's one of the cool things we're kind of bouncing around. I think we're doing Phoenix next year, so it's kind of we do an annual event just to bring people together and have fun. We have a lot of people that met each other at our event.
Yes,
from there, so it's a great opportunity to go to live events just to network. It's kind of cool. And your event's coming in June too, right?
Coming in June 24, 25, 26. Okay, a couple of your affiliates are going to be there. Alma from San Antonio is going to be there, and Tony Romero is going to be there as well. So, yeah.
I actually have a family vacation, so I can't come, or else I would have.
It's all good, man.
We've been planning a family vacation to go to Yellowstone for a week with my family. We're all coming together, and then we've been planning for 2 years. But after my dad passing away, we kind of picked a new location, and we're kind of going that direction.
Yeah, a lesson learned for me on this event coming up in June. Even though it's going to be sold out, we already sold out all the VIPs. We're starting to sell out all the general admission. We have 120 VIP tickets sold already for over $1,000. And one of the lessons learned is that I did it in June, and a lot of people that should have came to the event are on vacations already. That's something they planned months before. So this will probably be my last event that I ever do during the summertime. I moved it from May to June because there were a lot of events happening in May, and I didn't want to conflict with those guys, especially in Phoenix. And then I moved it to June thinking, okay, I'm going to buy me another month to properly market it. But then I started bumping into a lot of my friends that were like, dude, I would have went, but I'm going on vacation. So I was like, okay, no big deal. It is what it is. So yeah, I'm going to stick to March and October, which are, to me, those are the best dates for events.
Man, we did ours in August. And I don't know. It was like right before school people. So we had a lot of people come up. So I don't know.
Yeah, as long as you do school time, you're good, right? Because now people are back in the city. They can plan for the weekend like us, like business owners. We can take a weekend off and no big deal. But vacation time, it becomes a challenge, especially for people going like you're going to Yellowstone. I got friends going to Europe. Some speakers couldn't come that were supposed to speak in this event because they're going somewhere else. So it's a lessons learned. You don't always have it all figured out.
So it's kind of interesting that you even said that, because I wouldn't have thought anything of it. And then because you messaged me about maybe a month or two ago to a sponsor, and I'm like,
right,
it's already set. I'm like,
yeah.
I can't go do that. And it's kind of crazy though, because like me, my schedule is like set for the end of the year already. And I'm like, what the heck? And like last year it was not like this. And like this year is just gone.
Well, you're growing, right? So when you experience the growth that you guys are having, not only on the company side but at a personal level, you fill up your calendar pretty quick. If you tell me you have anything going on in September, I can't make it because I'm already gone for like 3 or 4 different events that are taking place. Funnel hacking is in September, Tab is in September, and I'm going to all of those. I saw another event popping up today in September, and I was like, it looks good. But then I said, no, my whole September is gone. So,
and it gets kind of crazy too, because even for us, like 2-3 traveling things in the month, like you're done. Like you don't even want
and it's tiring. Number one, you're not sleeping in your own bed. It costs money because every time you go out there, it's thousands of dollars. It's not just a few $100 like it used to be back in the day. So not that the money is an issue for a lot of people, but it is an issue for a lot of people. How many events can they go to, in the same month or in a year, especially when tickets are, in the thousands or the hundreds of dollars or whatnot, hotel, airfare, ticket, the meals while you're there. So a lot of those things add up, man.
The other thing you don't mention is I actually work more when I go out on events because I sleep less because we're out late. We're having late dinners. We're having might go to a party or something, after party, and it's just. And
you get up early. You get up early. You want to go network and be in the room with the people and all that, right? So I'm the same way. Sometimes like in this. So last weekend I went to Podfest. Podfest is this huge podcasters event. They do, I think it's once or twice a year. And
I heard about it like the week before, but go ahead.
Yeah, so I was there the first 2 days and the last 2 days because it was a 4-day event. I checked out. On Saturday I slept until like noon, and because I was tired, my body was saying, "Hey, man, you need to rest." So it's a good event, by the way. I'm probably gonna make it again next year. So
I have
learn
to
podcasting there.
Yeah, I have to schedule because those events I wanted to go to, but I'm like, too late.
Well, and you're building, right? You're building your community. You're building the hive mind, and going to one of your events not necessarily will mean that is gonna benefit on how you're building your business today, right? So I went there because we have a media company now that we're launching in the next few months, where we're gonna service real estate investors on the media side, and I wanted to see what people outside of the real estate space were doing. That was it. And I got to connect with a couple of guys, and I got some good ideas, and we're going to start implementing because I want to start servicing other industries. I just don't want to stick to real estate. If tomorrow real estate takes a dip, like right now, the prices are changing, markets are changing a little bit. I started in 2008, so I came in that recession. Then in 2017, I had my own recession because of Hurricane Harvey in Houston and all the flips I had. I want to prepare better for the next recession that will come. Not that will come this year or next year, but whenever it shows up, I will be diversified, not depending on just real estate related products or services. I want to be in other industries. So I'm starting to go into all different branches because what we do is marketing at the end of the day, at least on the wholesaling side, right? We're marketers, and we just happen to attach it to real estate. So that set of skills and the systems like the hive mind, I can literally get on a hive mind account and start lead generating to sell leads to roofers. There you go. and I just went outside of real estate. It's still attached to real estate because you're changing roofs on a house, but now you're going to the retail side, right? I can go and get up with a restaurant owner that's struggling and said, hey, how would you like to fill up this restaurant? Let's do a marketing campaign using the Hive Mind, for instance. We're going to go ahead and pull the whole neighborhood, and we're going to skip trace everybody, and I'm going to text all these people to make sure we get foot traffic through your restaurant. How would you like that done? The guy will be like, what is it? How am I gonna pay for that? Well, let's work on a revenue sharing split type deal or something. But this tool can be used for so many different things. It's unreal. So I'm going on that route to where I want to start going in different verticals. That way I'm not just relying on real estate. I got other things going on.
Yeah, and that's one thing that's huge about, I think, business in general, is that once you create one revenue stream, you always got to diversify into other assets, which is why dividend paying stocks might not be like the top thing you want to do because you invest in real estate, but it's something you might want to throw some money in, just you get cash flow from that. So it's one of those things where you can diversify your businesses, diversify your income, diversify all that stuff. That way nothing's affected, and when it comes down to it, you're still doing what you love, and nothing's been affected. And I'm going to hit on your brilliancy right there, is that you went to the podcasting event to see what other people are doing in different niches. That's a hack for anybody who wants starting a business or a niche specific. Go see what other people are doing in that niche, learn from them, and just copy that for your niche, and you're in business. You can learn through all that process just by copying somebody else in a different niche.
100%. That's exactly what I went into. And also I wanted to see how I can service them. I'll give you an example. So they had a portion called VidFest where they talked about video podcasting, right? And this podcaster goes on stage and he starts talking about monetization of his videos, like how he's monetizing on Amazon, he's monetizing on YouTube. And I'm looking at the figures, right? And I'm not going to get into the figures, but once I understood what kind of money those guys make, I was able to register a bunch of solutions for them, because literally they don't make a lot of money with these videos, this podcast, like YouTube paying them a check or whatnot. Yeah, there's guys that have got millions of views or whatnot. Those guys are the abnormal, but the average podcaster or person that's doing videos and creating content, they got to literally distribute their material through a bunch of different platforms to make a decent living, not even to make a lot of money. So, I was talking to Caesar, who was there with me. I said, man, can you imagine if I put the guys from the real estate world on that stage and talk about the profits they make using the same content creation, the same thing? It's just that we talk about on a different subject, which is real estate, wholesaling, renting, multifamily, right? These people here on this other side have no idea that there's another world that they can use their talents and all the resources that they have. They just need to learn our side. And he's like, yeah, Ricardo, I think if you did an event right next to this venue and those guys will come into your event, they will be completely wiped out by the idea of making millions of dollars a year by, wholesaling or becoming a landlord or fixing flippers or whatever, because they're already creating the content. They're just creating it in a whole different space.
Yeah. I've learned some stuff about monetizing podcasts, and I'm like, I could go down that route, but because it costs to produce this stuff. It costs to produce it. Like somebody's going to edit this video and put ads on it. I have to release it. I mean, I'm here spending my time on this. This is my physical time. So it's one of the things where, like, I've heard of people like charging the guest like a flat fee, or say you're promoting your event. They might charge you, hey, can I get a link to share for your event? You promote it on my podcast and I'll get a revenue share off that.
Right.
So being creative with your audience to leverage it to create revenue.
You can. And I'm not going to mention any names, but I have another friend that is in real estate. He has one of the biggest podcasts. I had lunch with him a couple of weeks ago, and I asked him why he didn't take sponsors. He said, well, that's not what my podcast is all about. I just want to, if I take on a sponsor, I got to be using the service or the system. And I just don't want to promote things that I don't know what they're all about, right? But you're right. My event is actually geared like that. All my speakers pay. Now, I make sure I vet them. I make sure they're 7-figure guys, or they're getting close to being 7 figures. And then, they share the stage, because I don't have a back-end coaching program that I sell for whatever. So I have to share the cost of the whole event. And then I do that, and then we sell tickets to it. So it's kind of like what you're talking about, but I do it on the event side. I don't do it on my podcast because I only did that once, and it was with somebody I didn't know. They reached out to me and they said, "Hey, can you put me on your podcast?" And I said, "You got to pay to play," but I didn't know who this person was. And that was kind of like a buffer from me saying, "Yes, you can come over." That was like, look, if you pay this sponsorship deal, I will bring you in as a sponsor because I don't know who the hell you are.
Yeah.
So, and then they said, "Oh, no, we don't have a budget for that." I said, "Okay, perfect. Thank you." And that was it. Bye. Right. Because if I put you on my podcast, you got to be legit, period. In whatever you do. I don't know if they're legit or not. They're maybe I have to get to know them. So what I tell them is, I had this other guy, he says, "Ricardo, let's get on a Zoom call. Let's meet. I want to tell you." I said, "Brother, I don't have time for that right now. You need to come to my event." At the event, I can meet you. I can shake your hand because I'm qualifying the person I'm talking to now.
Yeah.
Right? So it's a little different. It might sound a little arrogant, maybe. Maybe that was my arrogancy from the past when I used to be very arrogant. I brought that back with me here. But in today, man, you have to filter people out. And that's one way to do it. Now, you could very well get a lot of sponsors for your podcast. Why not? But as long as they're, vetted, they go along, your core values, they're not trying to rip people off or whatnot. I'm willing to take people like that all day long. Not that I'm marketing for it, but I tend not, my podcast is my way of giving back. So that's why I'm not trying to make a lot of money out of it. I just want to give a message back. That's it.
Yeah. For me, it was just like, I wanted to provide value, but there's opportunity there to make money. But I didn't want to let other sponsors come in and do that. I'd rather sponsor myself.
Well, and a sponsor can take over your space and you don't realize it, right? Or they can say something like, "Oh yeah, I'm sponsored by the Hive Mind," or the Hive Mind is this. So you gotta be very selective and very careful on who you allowed in your space. As that way, it doesn't create a conflict for your message.
So I like that we're not even talking about real estate in the beginning, but I mean it's kind of cool. But I like talking about podcasting in general, just because let's talk about impact, because what are some benefits of impact you've seen from the podcast in general? And I really want to tone into this a little bit deeper as far as providing podcasts in Spanish, because me and you, we talked about this in Florida and providing education in Spanish. So what's your opinion about making an impact and impact in Spanish in general?
Look, any language. We could be Vietnamese for all I care, and I will be trying to create some content in Vietnamese to help that community, right? In any language, based on my 4 or 5 years of experience that I've had doing a podcast now, the one thing that fulfills me the most is when somebody reaches out to me and says, "Thank you so much for that podcast." Like I just told you earlier, "Thank you so much for that podcast you did with Daniel. That guy saved me from getting a CDL." Now he's probably pursuing joining a real estate group. Hopefully it's the Hive Mind, or whichever. There's plenty of them out there that are good. The important thing is that he takes action and he does it, right? So last week I told you I was in Orlando at a Podfest, and I went to a bar, and it was like a restaurant, and I'm at the bar at the restaurant having a few drinks. And this guy out of nowhere, man, comes to me and stands right next to me. I got a little afraid. I was like, "Hey, what the hell is going on with this guy?" He's like, "Are you Ricardo?" And I was like, "Yeah." This is in Spanish. And I said, "Yeah." He's like, "Man, thank you so much for your podcast. It's helped me so much. I'm actually a builder here in Orlando, but I didn't do real estate. I started getting into real estate after I watched your podcast." And I was like, "What?" And he showed me his Instagram, all the houses he's building and stuff. I touched somebody at a level that I had no idea. I didn't even know this person. Now we're connected. We exchanged on, we're following each other on Instagram. And now he's got my cell phone. I got his cell phone. And I'm going to put him on my podcast when I go to Orlando again, because now I can interview him, right? And he can tell the experience on what it is to come by. So the impact, I can't put literally a measure to it, because we've impacted people that we don't even know they exist, and in a positive way. And that's why I started my podcast from day one. It was to help other people out, because I didn't have that help when I started. And I was like, you know what, man, I'm just going to go help as many people out as possible. I'm going to throw my message out there. I will show them how to do this for free. Like literally, all you got to do is watch all my videos on YouTube and you learn how to do this for free. And there's people out there that are making it happen today. So I do my podcast without expecting anything on return, unless somebody's trying to get on my podcast and I have to kind of like put a buffer on it, because I just want to put people that are legitimate on my podcast. Like you're legitimate. You run the Hive Mind now, and you came from driving trucks, and you've grown, big time. And that I like your story, because your story empowers other people to go do what you're doing right now, right? I was a W-2 guy, and I made money for a very long time, and in the W-2 world, and I was okay by just being a landlord and collecting properties on as a rentals and things of that nature. And then I got laid off, and I had to pivot and become a full-time entrepreneur. So those are the stories I'm looking for. It doesn't matter what walk of life, whether you were a millionaire before or a poor guy, there's always a transition and a growth that happens in our lives. And I want to empower other people to mimic, or to at least say, you know what, if Daniel can do this, so can I. So that's the main reason I do my podcast. It's kind of hard to put what kind of impact we do, because we impact people and we don't even know it sometimes.
The whole point of that question was I wanted to see if you had a story, because I love hearing stories of just stuff like that, because it happens to me too. And you can't put a price tag on that.
No,
because you don't even know. You don't even know.
No, we have multiple people and I will tell you how the podcast started. Back in 2016, we were the biggest rehabbers in the city. Like, we were flipping a lot of houses, but we were not networking with anybody. Like, we were on our own lane. All we did was go to rehab to rehab to rehab. We didn't know who anybody was. Literally, we were completely unplugged from the whole real estate space. But somehow, private lenders and Harmony lenders were seeing our properties float around the market, whether it was going on the market or we wholesale it to somebody, or we were buying and using their money. So they start sending people to our office. And I remember it was like 5 times people showed up in my office. My office was in Brookshire, Texas. It's on the west side of town. It's far away. If you want to go to my office and you live in Houston, that's an hour and 30 minutes drive easily. Back then, not today, but back then it was like that. And I hear a knock on the door, and I open the door, and usually I wear Bermudas and a t-shirt like this, right? Yeah. Yes, sir. How can I help you? And he's like, is Ricardo here? And I'm looking at him like, you're looking at him. What's going on, buddy? Man, I hear that you guys do a lot of flips. I say, yeah, we do. Well, tell me, how can I help you? So-and-so told me to come stop by your office and pick your brains. And I was like, okay, come on in, man. And literally, Daniel, I will just download as much as I could for the next 2 or 3 hours. What happened was, after like the 5th or the 6th time that happened, within a couple of months, and it was from different people. It was like the universe was sending us all these people to the office. Yeah. My business partner, Dennis, at the time, comes to me and said, dude, you got to stop doing this. Because we get sucked into a meeting where we literally are dumping our brains into them, which is cool. I don't mind helping people out. But they're taking our time. And then when we're done with them, we still got to put in our work, which means we don't leave the office until 9 or 10 p.m. Yeah. And I said, Dennis, but I really want to help these people out, man. How can we do it? And he's the one that suggested that we did a YouTube channel and a podcast, and that's how the whole thing started. That way, when they came to pick on our brains, we'll say, hey, do us a favor, go watch all the videos, then you can come with some questions.
It's such a good way, and it's a good way to filter people, because then they'll actually go through the education side of it, and then they come with better questions. And it's not that we hang, how do you wholesale? I'm like, well, I answered that video 5 times in these 5 interviews, Like, I'm not even going to ask that question right now, because it's a time waster question. If you're people that operate at a high level, they like high level questions, because now it makes their mind think. If it's a question they answered 1,000 times and it's on YouTube, just YouTube it. Like, come back with better questions as a whole. What is a quote that is yours or somebody else's that you resonate with?
A quote that is mine, man. I always say, like, when people ask me what do you do, I say I'm an action taker. The end. Like, I don't have anything else to say. I just take action on the things that I want to do. I implement, I execute. There's many quotes, man. I read a lot of books. In the morning, I read at least 10 pages during my morning routine. And one quote that I can think of right now, I don't know. There's so many of them. When you get old, because I read like 3 or 4 books at the same time. So today I pick up one, and tomorrow I pick up a different one. So I start getting all this different information. It's hard to zero down on one quote, but that's what it is, man. Action taker. Even in my Facebook profile, if you go there on my bio, that's what it says. Action taker. The end. That's it. So that's the only thing I can answer with right now.
Okay, that's a good one too, because a lot of people, and I was talking to somebody yesterday, and I'm like, what does it take to become a millionaire or make $1 million months and all that stuff? And it's just like, it's being consistent and taking action. That's the only thing that separates us from everybody else. Like, if you want to separate yourself from the 10%, you just got to take action in general just to start, because not 90% of people will not start anything. They just won't start. So separate yourself from them is just can be consistent, and that's what
the one. But you know what? Everybody says they want to be consistent. Everybody. You get top performers, right? And you ask them, "What's your secret?" I'm consistent. But in reality, their secret underlying that consistency is that they're not afraid of losing. They're not afraid of risk, and they know that if they put marketing dollars to work, which is for your audience, that might be probably the biggest breakthrough. You gotta get used to losing some money, man. That's it. Like, this is not a business where we all win all the time. You see it on social media, guys making $1 million this month, guys making 500,000, 100,000, 50,000, whatever the number is. What about the months they lost? They don't display those because that doesn't sell. You follow me? Or I think it sells. It's just that people are embarrassed to put it out. I vocally say all the time, I lost more than $10 million in between 2017 and 2020. I quit counting at 10 because I didn't want to get more depressed. I was like, you know what? Knowing what I lost doesn't serve me anymore. So I just want to go and get back on track and rebuild myself, rebuild my operation, rebuild my life, because your life gets shaken up when something like that happens. And that was not long ago. We're talking about 4 or 5 years ago. You know, we're not talking about, 2008, which is people already forgot about it, and it's because we are wired for safety. Since we're children, we get wired for safety, and 99 of the people that get in this business cannot execute because they need that safety factor and they cannot embrace the risk, pure and simple. So if you embrace the risk and you understand that you're going to take some losses, and most likely those losses will happen at the beginning right away. You're going to put money in marketing. How many times have you had people go on the Hive Mind, put money in marketing, and it didn't work? Many times.
All the time. It hurts the most too up front too.
Exactly. But then what happens is the guy that was consistent and was able to take the punches and kept on going, on month number 3, 4, or 5, got a breakthrough. And now he's making money even on the old leads that he had. And now he's able to go and rebuild. So that's my message for your audience today, is that, you know what? Embrace failure, man. Embrace it, because it's coming to you, and it's coming to you hot. When I started going through my downside, where I started losing everything I had, I just embraced it, because I'm like, okay, it's out of my control. I just need to find a way to rebound. And we're in 2022. I'm still rebounding, right? Yeah.
Constant state of rebound. I'm still building.
That's it. That's it, and now I'm more confident about what I do today because now I have experience and I know the ugly side of our world looks like. I know what happens when you're facing foreclosure. I know what happens to be foreclosed on. I know what happens when you have to deed a property back to a lender now. I know how to navigate all those waters now. That's something I didn't know, because I was one of those guys that went up and I started making a bunch of money, millions, but that's all I experienced. I experienced winning. I didn't experience a lot of losing. And then all the losses came kind of like together at one spot. And now it's kind of like, okay, I know what it takes to win. I know what it feels losing. Now I can balance the two out. And honestly, all my business partners that I had during that time, they're no longer doing this. I'm the only one.
Consistency. Man, people that do real estate for a long time, the numbers thin. numbers thin heavily. And like you've been doing it for a long, long time. So the people that have been doing it since you've been doing it is probably very, very minimal. So it's kind of cool to see consistency factor and the longevity of a person. You know, you're not going anywhere. I really want to plug your podcast in, the Real Estate Entrepreneur Podcast. Go check it out. Like I said, I did an episode recently with it. You're nearing like 200 episodes, right? Like 190 or something like that?
Yeah, we're somewhere around 200. We have recorded probably close to 200. I will be recording a ton tomorrow and in the next few weeks. What we do is we record a bunch and then we release them. And I got to have your partner on my podcast at some point, Anthony. So I never met him. I think I shook his hand once. I've always been closer to you for some reason. We keep bumping each other in different events and things like that. But I love to interview him because he also has his side of the story, right, on how he came to where you guys are today. So I'm extending an invitation to him. Hopefully, if he ever comes around Houston, feel free to give him my phone and I'll be happy to talk to him.
I'll make sure he gets connected with you. But Real Estate Entrepreneur Podcast, doing episodes in Spanish. So if you're a Spanish speaker and you can share it with other Spanish people, definitely check it out. And then where to get a hold of you is RicardoRosales.com.
Yeah, RicardoRosales.com, man. That's my website. I bought my name. I suggest if your name is available, go get it because that's going to be the best business card that you can give somebody. And that's it. All my links to the rest of the stuff that we do, our events, our podcasts, they're all in there. So feel free to come in. And if you got a question, send me a message through the website. I'll be more than happy to respond back to you.
Man, I really appreciate your time. Like I said, I know we bumped across each other a couple times across different spaces. And that's the cool thing about traveling and doing events is you come across different spaces. We actually had dinner in Los Angeles a few months ago. So it's interesting to meet people and actually have people that you've known for a long time, just never actually met them. It's cool to have the conversation. I'm really glad you came on the podcast, man. I want to say, continue doing what you're doing. I know you're not going to stop because of my words, but I know the value you bring to the marketplace and to the education space out there. It means a lot to people like me and people that look like us, you know. So I really commend you to providing that education and providing those resources because it is not taken lightly. It is not taken lightly, and you're making a big difference in the world, and I appreciate that.
Man, thank you so much for that, Daniel. And I really appreciate the invitation to your podcast. And guys, just go ahead and take action, guys. You guys have a great platform on your hands. You got great leadership. There's a great group of people that are helping each other out inside the Hive Mind. You know, leverage that as much as you can, and I'm pretty sure you're going to get to your goals eventually one way or another. So
just be consistent.
Consistency and don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. That's it. You know, don't be afraid of failure. It happens. It happens to all of us. Even after we become winners, there are losses that come our way and we just have to deal with them, you know, so it's part of life.
There you go. We'll end it right there. Thanks for coming around. See you on the next episode.
The show is sponsored by The List Guys. Do you need more leads in your local or virtual market? 1 in 10 small businesses don't invest in any kind of marketing. The List Guys have over 35 plus list types to choose from, and you can mix and match any list or criteria. We also use the skip trace list and provide up to 7 numbers and email addresses. Every list you purchase will be scrubbed against previous purchases. The List Guys are here to save you time. Contact the List Guys today at www.1listguys.com. That's www.1listguys.com.